global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello guys, welcome to Global Happiness. Today we have a trending news for you, and the headline reads: President of United States Donald Trump blasts World Health Organization and calls them this as he exposes China. Americans react. See details. But before we go into the news proper and further analysis, we'd like you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button below. Beside it, you will see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. Don't also forget to like, share our videos. Okay, let's go straight into the news of the day. Americans react as Donald Trump blasts China, spits fire on WHO, and labels them China-centric. The power-talking president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, has expressed his disappointment over the actions and inactions of the World Health Organization, WHO, as regards some issues surrounding the outbreak of COVID-19 and the fight. He made this disclosure on his platform early hours of this day, and he said, despite admittance on U.S. mutual funding, though with good intentions, Trump blamed the World Health Organization for being at the epicenter of the whole saga, for what could possibly be perceived as a global conspiracy, thus labeling them China-centric. Trump has promised to investigate this issue, discovering this mutual mischief on the part of World Health Organization. Trump was so pleased, having rejected World Health Organization's advice on keeping American borders open for China earlier on. The WHO, that's the World Health Organization, really blew it for some reason, funded largely by the United States, yet very China-centric. We will be giving that a good look. Fortunately, I rejected the advice on keeping our borders open to China earlier on. Why did they give us such a faulty recommendation? He said. You see his tweet, as he said, he went further to say, look, this development, however, had generated a lot of controversy on social media, with many calling for US to take immediate action. One of them here says, their behavior makes you wonder, Mr. President, you are on the right track. Please look into this and make adjustments. Total useless organization. They are calling a WHO that. This one here is saying, because they want, that these Americans reacting over what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, said over the issue of WHO, that's the World Health Organization, being China-centric, and also giving them faulty recommendation, telling them to keep their borders open, knowing that the pandemic, that's COVID-19, is contagious, and never giving them that information earlier on. And he said he's glad that he didn't obey them. He went ahead and closed his borders against China early. But now Americans have taken to their social media handle to react to what their president has said. And this one here says, because they want to bring down the United States of America, the one true beacon of hope and democracy left in this world, and push onto a one-world government, a new world order. And hey, I don't even live in the United States. I'm a Canadian citizen, and even I know I can see this fact. Wow. So I said we need to quit listening to the World Health Organization and get out of the UN. Neither group operates in the best interest of our country. Their citizens are talking to Donald Trump, the president of the United States. So here is saying the big picture is indeed coming into focus. Keep up the fantastic work, sir. American stands behind you and appreciate you more than you know. So here is saying we can't trust other countries to have our people's best interests. Since when did any world organization ever get much right? China needs to be fully accountable for its handling of this pandemic. We need to take hold of our dependence on China. Made in America to keep America great. Wow, this is great, I tell you. So I say what China unleashed on the world is terrible. They need to be held accountable. This one here is saying the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, and the CDC are only for profit. Bill Gates needs to be locked up. Oops, that's a strong one. This one here say probably to make you look back, drain the swamp. So here say they were created by the Rockefeller. After all, and had no idea Bill Gates suddenly became a World Health Organization expert with his rising low, laughing loud aloud. So I said, the World Health Organization needs to be shut down for good, but investigated thoroughly for wrongdoing as well. Americans are speaking, I tell you, they're really voicing their mind. So he said, let's talk about the fact that the WHO recommended removal of suspected family members. That's a COVID-19. Hopefully, we have legislation in place that will block this insanity. So he said, please, Mr. President, take what Dr. Fauci tells you with a grain of salt as well. This is not a time to trust anyone if we can't even trust the WHO or CDC to tell the truth. So here it says, none of us have seen anything like this in our entire lives. It is not fair to play the blame game any more than people are trying to blame you for this, Mr. President. Let's take the high road this time and focus on saving lives. The rest will fall into place on its own. That's a good advice if you ask me. China and all those involved need to be held accountable. This one here is saying more corrupt crips and alternative interests and motives, largely funded by the US. This doesn't sound so great. Thanks to you, Mr. President, for working overtime for Americans to take care of such issues. You have had an endless list of issues to tackle. Nobody else could have done a minuscule fraction of what you did. So I say, WHO is corrupted organization. This one is actually a Chinese. Wong. W-O-N-G. Wong is actually saying WHO is a corrupted organization. Wow, people are amazed. This one here is saying, yes, you will see this for the plot it is. Virus manufactured and released during New Year celebration. One country was full of tourists. Whoa. So here's time to treat China as we did the Soviet Union. I just hope that the amber of war is not forming here. It's not brewing. We are not looking for Third World War. Honestly, I don't think any country is really ready. Even if America is ready, Nigeria, please, is not ready. We don't get power, please. Okay, let's continue with what people are saying. Americans now. So I said, should take a good look at our funding of the WHO while we are at it. As in telling Donald Trump to please review and revisit the funding. United States, fortunately, funds WHO in the tune of $10 billion. They're the highest, actually. The one closest is Germany. That's about I think about $5 billion. But Germany was the closest. But the highest actually is America with about $10 billion. And honestly, that's why he was getting angry that if we funded the highest, funded the most, and you are really China-centric, then we really need to review the funding. You can't be, we can't be funding you so highly, and yet you are giving us incomplete information. It's not appropriate, and and when they review that, that's going to go a long way. So here is saying. The truth is gradually coming up, but that's for Americans reacting over what President Donald Trump is saying. Don't forget that Donald Trump, America is one of the biggest power countries in the world, and whatever affects them unconsciously, directly or indirectly, affects other nations. And Nigerians also have taken to their social media handle to react to this allegation Donald Trump has said about World Health Organization. Don't forget that a lot of countries depend on the recommendation of World Health Organization to fight the pandemic, especially in Nigeria. I, for one, I get updates from WHO on how to, live a hygienic life over this pandemic. I get updates every day from them, sometimes every 4 hours to know what is going on over this pandemic. And now Donald Trump, President of the United States, is telling us that they are more China-centric than they ought to be. They ought to be neutral, but they're more China-centric. And don't forget that this whole pandemic, COVID-19, actually emanated from Wuhan, China. So if they're more China-centric, that means we need to be careful. That's what President Donald Trump is saying. And Donald Trump didn't stop. They said, look, we need to also also review our funding. We can't be funding this organization that is, China-centric enough to do this. And a lot of persons said it is more of a communist that they separated China during the communist environment. That makes more of communist environment as in WHO. A lot of persons are reacting, but let's feel the pulse of Nigeria, because whatever happens to the United States, directly and indirectly, happens to us, because we, one way or the other, have some linkages with the United States. Let's feel the pulse of Nigerians this time. This one here is saying, Mr. President is right. WHO and China are manipulating the world. So he says China is a wicked nation. So he says Chinese plots against humanity must be frustrated forever in Jesus' name. So he says, yes, go Trump. Jesus Christ got your back. Wow. So he says, what I know for sure is that there is more than the eyes can see. Wow. So he said, God will continue to bless you, President Trump. It is never easy having all and caring for the poor. So he said, China needs to be cleaned up from this earth. That you're asking for World War III. My brother, I am not with you. So he is saying the world should not just stand and look at the ills and evils China. They must face the music. Once Saddam Hussein can be killed for just making much of what he didn't have, China must be dealt with severely for planning to ruin the humanity. So here I said, America should do something on the actions and inactions of WHO and its executives. This one here says, I hate leaders who talks a lot instead of helping their citizens. Blah 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 blah. So here says, at last, United States is no longer a superpower as we used to think. Whoa. Is that how much you hate the United States? This here says, this pandemic should be an eye-opener to our leaders to begin to attract local manufacturing of our consumables and reduce drastically our dependence on China. No country can claim greatness when they depend on their countries for most of their needs, including medical supplies. Nigeria is way out of this league, I tell you. If they say all countries should depend on their locals, do we even have functioning lights they even produce? Our roads are bad. Let's start from the basic. While others are already in 2025, some countries as we speak are already in 2030. Nigeria is still in 1942. What am I saying? I even gave them credit. We are in 1845 as we speak in Nigeria. What we operate here is 1845. The 4G that other countries are moving to 5G. Even the 4G, our own 4G, we can't make call. We can't make WhatsApp call cleanly and it's smooth. Nigeria is, see, when others are saying that they should start producing that medicals, brother, be careful. This is Nigeria. We don't even have constant light. We don't even, solar self is not common. Good road is a privilege. We are talking about consumables. How you don't have basic amenities. You're asking for production that is on the tech level. You've not even had a solar. How many people can afford solar? Is strictly for the rich in Nigeria. You want to buy solar. If you're not careful, they'll come and visit you. I'm robbery and banditry. You're not born out of hunger and poverty. We are not in this legal. Where we are right now, the way we have borrowed, we are at the mercy of anybody. We are borrowed from China. Bad. We are, in fact, right now we are like a sub-country under China based on our borrowing. It's the fact. You may not like the truth, but it's the fact. But let's continue. So, what fault should America accept? Some of you people are foolish. Look at what is happening in Italy and Spain. Can you honestly blame the leaders? America is a big country, and what do you want Donald Trump to do? Act like God? Locking down a great country in the early stages of coronavirus outbreak is stupidity. Could have been a wrong move. He's in fact trying in these hard days. Donald Trump has really spoken the mind of his countrymen, although some of them still believe that Donald Trump has a lot of blames to take for opening up his borders early, that he ought to have locked the border earlier enough, that the fact that the borders were still open a bit to allow some of the Chinese and their pandemic virus COVID-19 to have entered was actually for he should have shut down the economy. But shutting down a big country, just like the last correspondent said, a big country like the United States would have shut down seriously on the economy, and that may not all go well because that's a power country. But whatever, they're still battling it, although they have increased a rate of a death rate and coronavirus spread. But I trust that the Lord will give them wisdom to bring it down. They're working assiduously to bring the cure and also reduce the spread. But that's how much we can take. What do you think about Donald Trump calling out WHO and calling them China-centric, despite them being heavily funded by United States taxpayers' money, and the fact that China is at the helm of all this pandemic and is trying to look into the organization and review their funding? Let's go to a comment section. Don't know